like
Yeah.
Without, you know, sort of refining anything. Just interesting results.
Where's the brown next? Well, I was actually going to talk about, we're going to go left to right. We're going to touch on the patch panel separately because that peak thing that you do is, we'll talk about that separately. So there's something the LFOs do, well they do a lot of stuff, but that random thing that you showed me, yeah, I want you to show people that because this is absolutely wicked.
It's a bit mental, isn't it? It's cool. So right from the original design, on the envelopes we have repeat buttons. So if you repeat an envelope, it's kind of like an LFO. Well, we've gone the other way on the LFOs to have a one-shot mode, which again is a shifted hidden function. Using these buttons here, so you can put LFO 1 into one-shot mode, which is what I've done there. If I apply LFO 1 then to pitch, which I think it already is, probably pre-patched it is, and bring in some mod, we have to hear it. Yeah, we'll start again.
Yep.
Start for minute, at least then I don't get confused. So then, yeah, oscillator 1 pitch is LFO 1, we can have standard, let's put that in one-shot mode, like that. So that now goes like that in one loop, one cycle. But then by selecting different waveform types, you can get different stuff. So that's doing that's a triangle. It's a saw with an interruption in the middle. This is a saw that goes from lowest to highest. Of course, with more pitch and mod, you can go. But the thing you're talking about is round here, that's the square or the pulse, is the random. So a random LFO just means that it picks a different value every time you hit the key. So you end up with, depending on the amount of pitch loss you have it just wiggling around like that.
This speaks to me so much. Especially if you're using like the ARP at like a ridiculous rate and that kind of stuff, and do some really, really bad stuff with that.
The Oscar sounded like the first time I heard it.
Oh, but that's a good thing, because that's the heritage in here. So
that is the DNA breaking through.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I mean,
I used to tell Chris off and make him sound.
well, it's funny that one-shot thing is post-Chris, as it were, but then the LFO original design of all of that is we did together. You know, he came up with the repeat on the envelopes, and I thought, well, why don't we do the flip on the LFOs and do the one-shot on the LFOs? So
really great.
We've been able to go on from...
I did only, someone just told me this is happening, so I didn't know. I heard you talking about repeat on the envelope.
Yes.
But I was the one that suggested we did that on the Oscar.
Cool.
Awesome.
Long time ago.
It's cool with it.
So, we are on to...
Yes.
Very excited.
Mr. Filter.
Mr. Filter.
Yeah.
So, what is this filter?
Well, so it's a Chris designed filter, which is done similarly to the Oscar. It's dual. So it's two filters working together, and there's various ways of combining them, which you can see by selecting types here. So serial and parallel. But the thing about it is it's one filter on each signal path, so as you start doing width stuff, especially in conjunction with voice spread, you can get really interesting effects. I shall try to demonstrate something now. Do a bit with first of all, it's got a lovely, sweet resonance to it. It's having very
like phasing quality to it.
But if we just, I mean, that example of two things like that, there are various examples of that in the presets.
Different ways. So, where did the filter topology come from? Where was the...
So that we really haven't touched. That's entirely Mr. Huggett. It comes from comes from the Oscar design. We actually use SSI chips, 2064 I believe it is. And Chris has just designed a circuit using those, effectively VCAs, to create a filter topology.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, for me, the standout feature of this thing is the filtering and the stereonicness of it.
Yes.
And also when you apply it in like the duophonic modes as well, it's really...
Yeah, so in duophonic mode it then splits that up and sends one note down one filter, one down the other, so they can operate independently. For me, it's because we're at the quad mode as well, which is proper 4-voice quad. That is then running 16 oscillators. Because the oscillator 1, oscillator 2, D-tune oscillator, and sub on 4 notes at once. So this is actually a 4-note polysynth, which not everyone knows.
Yeah.
It began life as a duophonic, but in development we were going to go and come up with this idea of this quad paraphonic mode, and when we were trying to figure out the logic of how to implement that, it turned out to be easier to just make it properly 4-voice polyphonic than it did to figure out where the gates were triggering. If you're holding one note down and then you've got the second one, and depending on the notes about paraphony, it can be a bit of a headache.
There we go, controversial headache.
Yeah, oft talked about.
It's a challenge.
So we could go 4-voice, so we did. That's it.
Brilliant.
So it is a proper 4-voice synth.
That was all my problem with Oscar, is that the duophonic mode, you couldn't put the voice that was the lesser voice couldn't go through the filter. So the only way to make that more interesting was to use the waveform generator and generate a digital waveform, because you wanted your lead voice to go through the